That good? It is. Hello, friends. Uh-oh. Hi. Sorry, I heard banging upstairs. It's never a good sign when you hear that. So far, it seems like everything's good. So anyway, hello all. Welcome to another late night random Ted does a Q&A video on YouTube in the middle of the night on a weekend this time though, which is something new for me. Yeah, I'm I don't know, hanging out. Let me make sure I set this to public real quick. I did. Cool. All right, neat. So anyway, folks, hope you are having a great weekend. I know I am as well. Here, you know, I've been working all night and I am tired, but I don't feel like going to bed just yet. So I thought I'd chat with all of you and kind of wind down a little bit. Sometimes these late night Q&As seem to do really well. So, and we get a lot of good discussion going on. So what I'll say will happen is this Q&A will run until I get too tired. I go to sleep. I heard banging upstairs, which may or may not mean that my son is waking up early in the middle of the night. If that's the case, then I will have to go and deal with that. But if not, we'll stay here and hang out till we're done. What's going on? Ardu? Yes, I remember the name now. Yeah, so no, just so you know, it's not the white balance that's off. My face is a little pink right now. No, I've been working. Since I figured out that I am going to be able to, my plan is to set up my D&D studio next door this year, so I can write it off on taxes come the end of the year. So I need to work on it, which means I need to tear out my old boiler and cut all the old lines and stuff out of the way. So that is what I am doing. Favorite monster from Volo's Guide. Oh, fire newts. They're not super powerful. I just like them. Your rate of upload has been insane lately. Yeah, I do what I can, folks. You know, quarantine, being home during the pandemic, but also having my kids in daycare, which is not something I had for until the 1st of September, is a huge boon in the content creation department. Because normally I'd be spending all day trying to balance work while my wife is also balancing work while we're also balancing 2 kids. And it's not that it's not doable, it's just that it's hard. But, you know, we managed to do it, and now they're back in daycare, which is awesome. Which means that during the week, I can occasionally pop down, or really I'm sitting in this chair with my laptop from work, and then I can just swap to making a video real quick. Also happens that lately, I actually took the last 4 days off of regular work during the week so I could make videos because I knew Icewind Dale was coming out. So I'll probably do something similar around the same time Tasha comes out so that I can be ready and to go for that. Do you special edition of Tasha's, or will go? Do I think it will go up in value over time like Xanathar's? You want to talk about Xanathar's? Look at Volo's. I saw a Volo's Guide limited edition go for like $900 on eBay the other day. So keep that with in a sense of your mind there. So it seems like the limited edition copies truly are limited. Not like other limited edition things where they just make a mass production. Do you think that it will have something else about optimize your race in Tasha's? So what they revealed, I feel like might be slightly lighter than what we'll get in Tasha's because it's Adventures League and it has to be like minimal in what it can do because Adventures League is so stringent so that it can work anywhere in the world. Do you know / like the SCP Foundation? do you think there could be a TTRPG around that universe? I don't know it, or at least I don't know it by the acronym, so I can't say that. Besides Drizzt, what creature were you hoping for / wanted in a Rime of the Frost Maiden? You know, I'm just thinking about my knowledge of Icewind Dale, and they pretty much, I didn't have any expectations. More like monstrous, more beasts, I guess, more like cold weather hardy beasts for things for Druid. Thinking about co-DMing, have I ever done it? No, Carlos, I've never done co-DMing. I like it in theory, right? If I only have to come up with half of the stuff, or I have a resource that I can use while I'm there, it sounds great. I know there are some streams where people do the co-DMs, and I only know that because like I flipped through and I see like the DM spot has 2 people sitting in it. So I don't know if they like divide up combat versus you know, RPG or role playing. Do they divide up voices, mechanics? I don't know how it works, but it sounds like an interesting concept. Have I ever ran / played using Fantasy Grounds? I have, but this was way back. This was 6 years ago when Fantasy Grounds was relatively new. So was 5th edition, and one of my players had a Mac, and we could never get it to work. And we got it to work like 1 or 2 times. You can look back on this channel. The old original long forgotten Princess of the Apocalypse that I left behind after like 6 episodes, some of that was done in Fantasy Grounds. Other than League of Legends, what universe would you like to have an adaptation to D&D? Avatar: The Last Airbender would be cool. She-Ra would be cool. They're 2 like newer, and Avatar's not new, but newer shows that I really enjoy. Captain N the Game Master, because then you'd get all Nintendo products. What are your thoughts on Kobold Press's player options? I love Kobold Press. We go way back, Kobold Press and I. I've got almost I've got like 5 Kobold Press books within arm's reach right now. I like their options. I haven't gone through all of them, I'll be honest. I've read through some from like the Midgard Player's Guide, and I know they keep adding more. And more often than not, I will likely incorporate them into my game if I think they fit. How many players do you need for Icespire Peak? Technically only 1 if you use sidekicks. But I always say 4 is a good number. But you could go with less. It's not the worst. It's not undoable. The sidekick mechanic is there to help with that. You put in so much effort into covering and reporting on 5e, it's insane. Oh, thank you so much. Do you have any tips on how to utilize a Rakshasa? My party is all high DPS, and I'm thinking to make a very tough threat without them wiping. Yeah. So mind control. Your party may be really high DPS. How do they stand against wisdom saving throws? Because when a wisdom saving throws, like a dominate spell, comes into play, then that high DPS is on your side, and then that can be really fun. We use a lot of Avatar influence. Yeah, Avatar is awesome. The Lacer class. There's a DM's Guild thing I did a review on years ago called Incarnate the Last of the Lacers. And it was good. And I heard it got a massive overhaul like 2 years ago. And it's actually been on my list of things to review. I even filmed an intro and everything for it. I just haven't got around to do it yet because this new Tasha stuff plus Icewind Dale has kept me so busy. I haven't had time to like relax into my normal content. Like I thought I was good when I finished Icewind Dale, and then lo and behold, all the new stuff started coming out from Tasha's with the hints on the map and stuff. Do you think AO will allow the diverse character creation options in Tasha's even if it isn't your +1? Well, yeah. I mean, the options that I showed you were from in the video that I did, like confirmed lineage system. That's an Adventurers League rule. That's season 10 and beyond. From what I've learned, they've made everybody back. Season 9 and previous legacy characters. So I guess that means you can't play in new content. It's kind of like a bullshit thing like that. It reminds me a lot of what they do with like trading card games, where like these are legacy cards now. You can't use them anymore. Favorite class Paladin, 100%. And a favorite class subclass combination. Well, probably fighter, Eldritch Knight fighter, Tempest Cleric, or Scout Rogue, and then any combination of fighter. Did you hate they made crag cats monstrosities? Yeah, it kind of sucks because that was a good like druid option. Crag cats were really solid for druids, as well as if people allow you to summon animals. That was a really good one. Is there any way to contact you outside of here? Nerdimmersion at Gmail for business inquiries. It's in the bottom of every video. But true, I mean, any social media will work. This is a little bit harder because you lose stuff. They used to remember when they used to let you send messages via YouTube? You could they had an inbox in YouTube. That's gone, but you used to have that. As a starting DM, other than the PHB, DM's Guide, Monster Manuals, Anthars, Volas, and now Tasha's, what will be a good book to pick up in your experience to spice up my games, in your opinion? Kobold Press's Tome of Beast, Kobold Press's Creature Codex. I imagine the idea will be to replicate all the relevant AL rules, so you can just pick, yeah, pretty much. Did I play 4th edition? I did not. I was playing 3.5. Then the campaign ended unexpectedly, as campaigns do, and then I didn't play D&D for like 6 years, and then 5th edition came out, and it all jumped right back in. Have you done a video on things that you wish spells? That wish spells but aren't it from older editions? Yes. I did a top 10 D&D 3.5e spells I want in 5th edition. That is out there. You can check it out. Really, for anything, if you have a question about me doing an older edition, if you search Nerd Immersion 3.5e, that should pull up anything that I've done where I'm referencing older editions. Because that's the only one I know. So, do you think Call of Cthulhu should be more popularized since it's one of the few highly horror-oriented TTRPGs? And by the way, check out SCP Foundation. Is a cool horror. Okay, I'll check out SCP Foundation for sure. Call of Cthulhu is a different animal, so problem is here. I mean, maybe it's not a problem, but people love 5e, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I've gotten into this discussion a lot with folks in the TTRPG community, a lot of my good friends, that people are trying to make 5th edition be everything. And that's okay. 5th edition is pretty easy and hackable relatively simply with the rules that exist because they're so simplistic in the way the mechanics are handled. However, nope. Hang on. One sec, guys. Sorry, folks. No, my little one got up. He apparently didn't finish all of his bottle when he went to sleep. Passed out early, so he woke up. So I just wanted to make sure everything was good. But we're all set. He's just getting the rest of his bottle, and we should be all set. All right. My point that I was making before I left is Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition is good, but it's not everything. There are certain things, if you like certain parts of RPGs, certain other RPGs handle things better. For example, horror and sanity and all that is handled better in Call of Cthulhu. Certain roleplay relationships, right? They're handled better in other RPGs. Superheroes, not really good in 5th edition. You'd probably want something else. What do I think of the WizKids premium miniatures? They are definitely a step up above the blind box, but you know, I don't have time to paint minis, so that's always good for me. I can always use those. Advice on making hags unique. I have a trio of hags, building a large forest, and I really want them to be unique boss fights. If you have any good modules I can take ideas from. I'm not sure, but really read the section in Volo's Guide to Monsters about hags. There's a lot of interesting things like the flying motorcycle skull thing. That's pretty neat. Do you think that the Great Old One Warlock should be revised? Yes, I do. I'm a fan of DM versus player situations on both sides of the screen, but it seems really frowned upon in 5e. I don't think it should be a combative relationship, DM versus player. It can be, and it can be fun, and if that's what you find fun, then by all means, but I don't think it should be a combative relationship. The DM shouldn't be trying to win by killing your characters and stuff. I've had a DM like that, and it's not fun because you are fighting against the person who makes all the rules, so how do you win? You ultimately never will. Okay. As a novice DM with limited experience planning to run Tyranny of Dragons, I'd like to hear your opinion on it. Well, funnily enough, I have an entire video series here on YouTube covering Hoard of the Dragon Queen, chapter by chapter, what I liked, what I didn't like, and what I would change. So that's pretty good, as a start, at least for Hoard of the Dragon Queen. It's pretty lethal, so be mindful of that. Make sure you have the current version with the errata, because the errata changes quite a bit. Also, if you feel like sinking hours of time, you can watch my entire playthrough of both games. They're between this channel and Nerd Immersion Plays. Not to say, not plugging that, because it's a ton of content. That's like 60-something episodes that are about 2 to 3 hours long each. But you might be able to pull ideas from that. Okay. Friends and I are doing a few session 3 to 5, anything goes campaign. So anything put out in 5e by WotC is allowed, UA versions included. Even if changed later, what would you make? What would I make? I don't know. I'd probably make a rogue. You guys have heard me complain about how I never get a chance to play a rogue. That would be an option for me. How is the day so far? Well, it's 3 a.m. for me, so the day has been pretty long, but we are winded down. Have you ever looked at Power by the Apocalypse? I have played Glitter Hearts, which is a magical transforming RPG. I don't want to say magical girl, because it's not, right? Power Rangers are technically a magical transformation, which is something you could use Glitter Hearts to replicate. My good friend Greg wrote it, published it, kickstarted it. It did exceptionally well, which is awesome. And I played in a game that he ran, which is playing the game with the creator is always cool. So that was fun. Normal humans seem to lose out in the legacy system. Yeah, a lot of people bring that up, and that is kind of shitty. Normal, like the versatility of a regular human is gone. And even variant human, to a lesser extent, kind of loses out because you get the feat, but that pretty much will shoehorn you almost always into wanting to take a +1, a half ability score. But I guess you kind of always did that anyway. So I don't know. We don't know the final version. The Tasha, the version that exists may be slightly different than what we get in Tasha's. I don't know. Anything I can do regarding making chase sequences more interesting and less cutscenes? Have you looked at the chase rules in the Dungeon Master's Guide? I did a video on those. There are chase rules specifically for running chases in 5th edition. That may be of use to you. What do you think is the best WizKids miniature set to start with as a newcomer to miniatures? Monster Menagerie 1 probably is a good place to start. Favorite wizard subclass and why? Probably Bladesinger. No, Divination. Divination because I like the portent ability. Have you seen Sandy Peterson's Cthulhu book? I have not. I'm not sure if this was ever asked before, but where did the name Nerd Immersion come from? My wife, actually. She's great, and she came up with the name. So I had been running, I had been a member of and then became in charge of a Guild Wars 2 podcast back in 2012. I was a huge fan of Guild Wars 1 and then Guild Wars 2. It's an MMO, for those of you who are unaware. It came out in 2012, and I'd been waiting for it for like 5 years. So super excited about it. And then I ended up getting into a really good, solid guild, and we made a podcast called Chronicles of Tyria. COT podcast is the YouTube channel. It does still exist. It's still out there. You can go watch it. And Chronicles of Tyria, the website, which is a writing, like, fan fiction site, does still exist, and it's run by a good friend of mine. But we started the podcast, and we were doing the whole podcast thing. And then I kind of got fed up, not fed up, but like I was not happy with the choices the developers were making at a given point. And I decided, hey, you know what? I would like to talk about other games other than Guild Wars. I should make my own channel, website, podcast, whatever. I don't know what to call it. And my wife was just like, call it Nerd Immersion. It kind of covers everything. If you're a nerd, you're trying to do things with immersion, blah, 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 go with that. And there we go. And it wasn't taken. That was also part of it. Genie did not lose Wish at 9th level. They actually added it back in. There was an update to that. I think I mentioned it in one of the videos. They added it back in. It was just like they updated the version. So make sure you download the current version if you're playing. Are you a fan of homebrew stuff? Yes. I know you fixed a lot of 5e. I've had a blast making a martial support class and revised monk. Yeah, I have a bunch that I'm working on. I have a couple that I've released in the past. I want to revamp my website so I can make things a little more readily available. So we'll work on that. Have you ever tried solitaire solo D&D? No, and I think it would make a really fun stream to play in a solo adventure. I have a bunch of them that I downloaded off the DMs Guild, and I would really like to try like me stream. It's basically a choose your own adventure is what it is. But I would like to try streaming it. I think that could be a fun experience. I used to pull a lot of concept from D&D Wiki, and while I didn't use any of them, I really get to play. D&D Wiki is frowned upon by the community because there is anyone can publish anything on the D&D Wiki. And 9 times out of 10, D&D Wiki is way overpowered because it's just anybody can post anything. It reminds me... I remember in 3.5, D&D Wiki was the same thing. People would just post stuff, and I remember someone was like, oh, I'm going to play this class. And it was just ridiculously overpowered. And the problem is, because it's got wiki in the name, people associate wikis with things that are well organized and well done, right? Like if you were to go look up the Forgotten Realms wiki, it's a massive repository of Forgotten Realms knowledge, right? Or, you know, the Spider-Man wiki or whatever. But D&D wiki is just... whatever, anything goes. At least on the DMs Guild, I feel like if you want to make money, you'll put pride and effort into your whatever you're putting out there, because people might actually end up paying you for it, and you want to do well and right by them. Whereas the D&D Wiki, you just do whatever you want. Making a backup character in case one of my characters dies. I'm thinking about a Kenku monk. What's your tips on RPing a Kenku monk? You know, I don't love the whole, like, only speaking in snippets of words they've already heard Kenku nonsense, because they never used to have that. They added that. The mimicry thing was a thing they had where they can mimic sounds of voices, but they could still talk. And I don't know if that's actually something that's written in the race. I don't remember, but I know that's how Matt Mercer ran it, so that's how a lot of people assume that it is ran. I don't know. I mean, if you have a concept for why do you want to be a Kenku monk? That's my best question, and then we'll go from there. How to fix Dragonborn race. See my video on how to fix the Dragonborn race. That's one of the first ones I made, fixing the Dragonborn. Can you say my name so I can clip it and use it as a notification sound? All right, looks like it is Kiva Gale Hall. Kiva Gale Hall. Kiva Gale Hall. Kiva Gale Hall. Good morning, Tyler. What do you think about polymorph plus power word kill combo to take down a Tarrasque? So, I mean, I guess it technically works. So, see, the Tarrasque, everybody has this thing about the Tarrasque being super powered. In 3.5, you could beat it at like level 5 if you had the right build. Like, because it wasn't immune to like either ability drain or level drain or something. One of those two abilities, and it was a lot more deadly in 3.5. So there was like easy early builds you could do to just kill this thing. On MMOs, I'm a D&D Widow. It still exists, but turned to pay to win. Yeah, it's true. How do you feel about Circle of Stars Druid? It's cool. I like the Wildfire Druid better. On the player side, since you've wanted to build a rogue, have you theory crafted any Arcane Tricksters? If so, what spells would you pick in the first level restricted slots? So, remember, I've mentioned it before, but when I go to sit down and like play a game, I like to try to, especially if I'm going to play, and I'm going to play with a group that I play with consistently, I like to try and split things up and not have the same classes. So, like, I run a game every Tuesday where there's an Arcane Trickster. So if someone else was going to run a game and we were all going to play in it, I wouldn't want to be an Arcane Trickster just because I like to keep the variability there. But he kind of ran with a lot of abilities that didn't really require, you know, you to use your intelligence modifier, because there are quite a few you can get away with as a wizard with, you know, using wizard spell slots. I think sleep is a pretty good one. A lot of some of the illusions, the image spells. The restricted slots are kind of tricky, though. I'm hoping Tasha's will add to that list. Do you like anime? Yes, I like anime. Do I have a favorite one? I mean, so I started anime with Sailor Moon. A lot of people started there on Toonami, Cartoon Network. So that's my frame of reference. Most of my anime came originally through Toonami. And then Dragon Ball Z, right? Shortly after that, I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball Z, right? I grew up with Dragon Ball Z. It was a big part of my childhood. And then I really liked Rurouni Kenshin a lot. That was a good one. And I also, like, the characters had superpowers and stuff, you know, kind of in the way of, like, their sword techniques. But they weren't, like, flying around throwing ki blasts and magical transformations and stuff. So it was a little more grounded. So I liked Kenshin a lot. I watched Naruto after the fact. You know, I was a fan. I'm a fan of Naruto. I watched the first season of Attack on Titan. I really liked that. There's a couple of other like random animes that I just found on Netflix that I watched that were pretty good, but nothing that really jumps out or sticks in my mind as something that like I really want to suggest people watch. What time zone am I in? Eastern. What subclass do you wish would come back? It's Phoenix Sorcerer for sure. Funnily enough, I did a top 10 unpublished Unearthed Arcana. I think it was top 7 unpublished Unearthed Arcana that I would like to see published, and that would give you your whole answer for that. Thoughts on the plane shift content? It's interesting. It's more official than Homebrew, I guess, technically, right? Because it's still made by Wizards of the Coast. Still not official by any means, but it's also a really great way to, if you're homebrewing, to use that and adopt it if you can. What are your thoughts on a race that are humanoid and are familiars for a player to have an extra character to play and have bonuses and class? Well, the sidekick rules coming in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything sound like exactly what you're looking for. Eastern time zone, we said that. What do you think about Sticks to Snakes? I think it's great. I think I actually, in my top 10 spells I wanted from older editions into 5e, I think number 1 might have been Stick to Snakes. Six to Snakes? Yeah. What's my favorite pre-written adventure? Curse of Strahd. What scenario do you play the most? Well, the most right now is my homebrew setting, because that's what I've been playing for 97 3-hour sessions. But Forgotten Realms would be the other one. Oh, you guys, listen. I'm not gonna do It's just my voice acting here. Give a haul, but now in pain. You guys. Can Necromancy Wizards overuse the new Create Megan spell? You know, I haven't actually gone and looked back at the Necromancy Wizard to see how it will react with the Create Megan spell. Megan. I really need to update the pronunciation guide so we all know how to actually say it. It might allow you to do some funky stuff, and I'll have to look and dive into that. Maybe I can come up with a build concept. Try to make DM's Guild stuff look passable, get stuff balanced before publishing, fiddling to get stuff on the site. Yeah, so. How do you feel about the Twilight Domain Cleric? I like the Twilight Domain Cleric. One of my friends played it in a one-shot. It was a good time. It's not my favorite cleric. It's cool. It kind of, in my mind, it's everything that the Trickery domain wishes it could be. If we could get a new source for a bloodline, what would you think would be cool? I'm going to still stick with Phoenix or Fiend. Fiend would be a good one. Do you allow Aarakocra race? Yeah, absolutely. I don't shun any published races. And I'm willing to adopt or allow just about any homebrew, as long as I get to view it first, and if it's too overpowered, we talk about why and how we're going to change it. Try to keep bringing it up, but view from someone is so into D&D would be very... Since you already played League of Legends, any tip or thing you think would need to be in 5e to make it a better experience? I think that's what you're saying is League of Legends there, lol. Anything you think we need to be in 5e to make it a better experience? I do think, like, just break away from this nonsense about magic items and this. They're so rare and you can't sell them. Everybody runs a magic item shop in some form or another where you can buy and sell magic items. Give us pricing, give us the hard and fast rules for crafting, or if you're going to go with the concept of blueprints, give us blueprints. Give us, like, hard and fast rules for making magic items. What's your favorite school for wizard? Probably divination or bladesinger. I'm really interested to see, well, if you want to see what I'm looking forward to from Tasha as far as subclasses, see my top 5 subclasses I'm most excited for in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. I have a video for that. I really do need to make like a push button that I can have pop up on screen for that. But I do like Bladesinger. I want to see the Bladesinger update. Since I'm playing one, I want to see how it's going to drastically change, improve, or reduce my existing character. Running Kenshin, Trigun, yeah. Slowly crawling my way, making conversion spells from my favorite video game, Dota 2, into 5e, and making them intentionally strong. Do you think OP spells have a place in D&D? I mean, look at Fireball. Fireball and Lightning Bolt are 2 super OP spells, considering what other spells have that kind of damage at 3rd level. OP spells can have their place, but, you know, it's just like, if you're going to be running the game, how would you feel about your players slinging them at your monsters versus how would you feel slinging them at your players? Full Metal Alchemist. I've watched Full Metal Alchemist not consistently, but like I did watch it when it was on TV. Attack on Titan is worth continuing. Okay, good to know. What do you think about min-maxing power gaming? I think it's fine. I do it. I hope we get an Ublex race. Well, we're gonna get the tiny gelatinous ice cube. Oops. Oh, there's my son. All right, well, I'm going to go, folks. Sorry to cut you off now. My little guy woke up, and he's calling for me, so I will catch you all